नमस्कार। नई दिल्ली के विज्ञान भवन में आयोजित प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह में आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत और अभिनंदन। प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस हर साल 9 जनवरी को मनाया जाता है। इस दिन की खास अहमियत है क्योंकि इसी दिन 1915 में राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी दक्षिण अफ्रीका से स्वदेश वापस लौटे थे। वैसे प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस मनाने की शुरुआत 2003 में हुई थी, जिसका प्रमुख उद्देश्य है सारी दुनिया में फैले अप्रवासी भारतीयों को देश के साथ जोड़ना। इस वर्ष इस समारोह का ये 12वां संस्करण है। समारोह के माध्यम से देश और विदेश में मौजूद यानी भारतीय और भारतीय मूल के युवाओं के सपनों को पूरा करने के प्रयासों को उनकी मातृभूमि से जोड़ने का खाका पेश करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। 7 जनवरी को यानी कल सम्मेलन का पहला दिन था, जिसे युवा प्रवासी दिवस के रूप में मनाया गया। इस समारोह में शिरकत करने के लिए सारी दुनिया में फैले अप्रवासी भारतीय हर वर्ष की तरह इस वर्ष भी भारत पहुंचे हैं। श्री सैम पित्रोदा, जो कि पब्लिक इंफॉर्मेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और इनोवेशन पर प्रधानमंत्री के सलाहकार हैं, विज्ञान भवन में मौजूद हैं। प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह का आगमन होगा कुछ ही क्षणों में, जो विधिवत आज इस सम्मेलन का समारोह का उद्घाटन करेंगे। मैं जहां भी रहूं, मैं कहीं भी रहूं, तेरी याद आती है। भले ही भारतीय किसी भी मुल्क में, किसी भी देश में बस गए हों, लेकिन आज भी उनका दिल भारत के लिए धड़कता है। आज भी वो होली, दीपावली और ईद मनाते हैं, टीम इंडिया की जीत की कामना करते हैं और हर पल भारत आने की सोचते हैं। और यही मूल में है प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह के उद्देश्य को परिलक्षित करता हुआ समारोह। 3 दिवसीय ये अवसर, जहां पर दुनिया के कोने कोने से करोड़ों अप्रवासी भारतीय हैं, किसी न किसी माध्यम से अपने मुल्क से, अपनी मातृभूमि से, अपनी मिट्टी से जुड़ने की कोशिश करते हैं। समारोह के समापन सत्र में विशिष्ट योगदान के लिए अप्रवासी भारतीयों को राष्ट्रपति द्वारा सम्मानित किया जाता है। और यकीनन ये भावनात्मक क्षण भी होता है। विदेशों में चाहे चिकित्सा का क्षेत्र हो, औद्योगिक प्रगति हो, तकनीकी क्रांति हो, हर जगह भारतीय मूल के निवासियों का अप्रतिम योगदान रहा है। सारी दुनिया ने जिसका लोहा माना है। और इस सम्मेलन के माध्यम से अप्रवासी भारतीयों की भारत के प्रति सोच, उनकी भावनाओं की अभिव्यक्ति और साथ ही उनकी अपने देशवासियों के साथ सकारात्मक बातचीत के लिए एक मंच उपलब्ध कराने की कोशिश की जा रही है। उसी का नाम है प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह। 3 दिवसीय ये समारोह, जो कि इस वर्ष दिल्ली में आयोजित हो रहा है, 12वां संस्करण है। 2005 में पहली बार ऐसा हुआ जबकि प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह का आयोजन दिल्ली के बाहर यानी मुंबई में किया गया। 2006 में चौथे प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह का आयोजन हुआ हैदराबाद में। उसके अलावा 2009 में चेन्नई में 7वां प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह आयोजित किया गया था। प्रवासी भारतीय मंत्रालय के साथ साथ इस वर्ष केंद्रीय युवा और खेल मंत्रालय की भी उपस्थिति है इस समारोह के आयोजन में। युवाओं को देश भर के और सारी दुनिया में फैले अप्रवासी भारतीय युवाओं को इस सम्मेलन से जोड़ने की कोशिश। और इस साल के समारोह की थीम है प्रवासी भारतीयों के साथ सतत पीढ़ीगत संबंध। उम्मीद ये की जा रही है कि इस वर्ष समारोह के माध्यम से युवा भारतीयों के स्वप्न को पूरा करने वाले क्षितिज के नए द्वार खुलेंगे। श्री सैम पित्रोदा महत्वपूर्ण बातचीत में व्यस्त हैं। सभी को इंतजार प्रधानमंत्री महोदय के आगमन का। प्रवासी भारतीय जिनकी संख्या लगभग 2.5 से 3 करोड़ के बीच आंकी जाती है, और चाहे वो विकसित देश हों या विकासशील देश या पश्चिम एशिया के देश, खाड़ी के मुल्क, हर जगह प्रवासी भारतीयों ने अपनी उपस्थिति प्रभावशाली अंदाज में दर्ज कराई है और देश की प्रगति में, भारत की प्रगति में उनके प्रत्यक्ष और परोक्ष योगदान को ध्यान में रखते हुए इस समारोह का आयोजन होता है और राष्ट्रपति महोदय विशिष्ट योगदान करने वाले अप्रवासी भारतीयों को सम्मानित करते हैं। इस तरीके के सम्मेलन का आयोजन एक तरफ जहां उद्योगपतियों को, तकनीकी विकास के शिल्पकारों को, चिकित्सा के क्षेत्र से जुड़े लोगों को सारी दुनिया में एक दूसरे के साथ वैचारिक आदान प्रदान का अवसर प्रदान करता है, वहीं साथ ही कुछ नए उपक्रम रूप लेते हैं। कुछ को मूर्त रूप पहनाया जाता है, अमली जामा पहनाया जाता है और कुछ की योजना फलीभूत होती है। प्रवासी भारतीय मंत्रालय, जिसने पिछले वर्षों में तमाम ऐसे कदम उठाए हैं जिससे कि विदेशों में रहने वाले भारतीय मूल के लोगों को भारत में कोई भी उपक्रम शुरू करने में सुविधा हो, और उसके लिए भी प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह का जो 3 दिवसीय सम्मेलन है, समारोह है, एक संगम है सारी दुनिया में फैले भारतीय मूल के निवासियों का, उसके लिए समारोह एक महत्वपूर्ण मंच प्रदान करने में सहायक सिद्ध होता है। केंद्रीय खेल एवं युवा मामलों की भागीदारी इस समारोह में इस वर्ष काफ़ी प्रमुखता से रही है और पिछले वर्षों में भी प्रवासी भारतीय मंत्रालय का प्रयास रहा है कि अलग अलग भारत सरकार के जो मंत्रालय हैं उन्हें इस सम्मेलन के आयोजन से जोड़ा जाए, ताकि अगर कहीं भारतीय मूल के निवासियों को विदेश में या देश में कहीं कोई कठिनाइयाँ आती हैं तो उनका उचित समाधान किया जा सके। विशिष्ट अतिथिगण, अधिकारी और विदेशों से आए प्रतिनिधि, जिनमें बड़ी संख्या में छात्र छात्राएं भी शामिल हैं, इस विधिवत उद्घाटन समारोह का हिस्सा बनने के लिए विज्ञान भवन के प्लीनरी हॉल में मौजूद हैं। बदलते माहौल में जनसंचार माध्यमों और मीडिया की भी प्रमुख भूमिका है, जहां संवाद स्थापित करना और इसे सही मायनों में सारे विश्व के सामने एक मंच पर लाना एक महत्वपूर्ण गतिविधि कही जा सकती है। और उस लिहाज से भी प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह का ये जो 3 दिवसीय अवसर है वो सभी आमंत्रित मेहमानों के लिए एक विशिष्ट अवसर प्रदान करता है। कुछ ही क्षणों में इस समारोह का विधिवत उद्घाटन होगा। प्रवासी भारतीय मंत्रालय के केंद्रीय मंत्री श्री व्याला रवि का आगमन हो चुका है मंच पर। सभी को उत्कंठा इंतजार प्रधानमंत्री महोदय के आगमन की। प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह का आगमन, अभिवादन स्वीकार करते हुए
Good morning, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, and the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, I'd like to welcome you all to the 12th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas celebrations. The theme for this year's Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is Engaging Diaspora, Connecting Across Generations. India is a youthful, exuberant nation with about 50% of its population in the age group of 18 to 35 years. The Indian growth story is expected to be one which is scripted, directed, and played out by the country's youth, and the entire journey is built on the partnership between young resident Indians and young NRIs. Approximately 700 delegates from 50 countries are participating in the 12th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. We're very honored this morning with the presence of the Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and we warmly welcome him. We would also like to welcome our chief guest, Datuk Seri Ji Palanivel, Minister for Natural Resources and Environment and President of the Malaysian Indian Congress. We'd like to welcome Mr. Vailar Ravi, Honorable Minister for Overseas Indian Affairs, Shri Jitendra Singh, Honorable Minister of State, Youth Affairs and Sports and Defence, and Mr. Prem Narayan, Secretary in the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister of India and all our dignitaries on the dais to inaugurate the 12th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas celebration by lighting the ceremonial lamp. Thank you, sir. And now a formal welcome speech by Shri Vailar Ravi, Honorable Minister for Overseas Indian Affairs.
Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Chief Guest Datuk Seri Palanivel, my colleague Sri Jitendra Singh, the Minister of State, Minister for the Youth Affairs and the Sports, distinguished guests and delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to welcome you all to the 12th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas at New Delhi. This great diaspora engagement is organized annually on January 9th to celebrate the return of our greatest Pravasi, Mahatma Gandhi, on this day in 1915 from South Africa. This occasion also marks the remembrance of our freedom struggle and the contribution of the overseas Indian community to the development of India. PBD conventions are being held every year since 2003. They have provided a platform to India's largest overseas community to engage with the Government of India and people of their ancestral land for mutually beneficial activities. The convention is also a useful network forum for overseas Indians residing in different parts of the world and enable them to share their experiences. We use the event to honor Pravasis of exceptional merit with the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award. The event also provides a forum for discussing key issues concerning the Indian diaspora. Over the years, various schemes and projects like OCA cards scheme and inclusion of the names of the non-resident Indians in the voters lists have been introduced successfully thanks to the discussion held in this forum. The Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is one of the largest and important diaspora engagement meets anywhere in the world. It is my sincere hope that this edition will also prove as useful as those in the past. Pravasi Bharatiya Divas convention is also organized to strengthen diaspora engagement with India's growth story. We realize that economics and business are flowers of the modern world. While the diaspora looks back to India out of sentiment as the land of their forefathers, they equally see the opportunities in India and are keen to be partners in our growing economy. Our first plenary session itself touches on important aspect of this issue. A session on investment opportunities in the states with the state chief ministers is slated to be tomorrow. They all will be here tomorrow and you can have enough discussions. This will give you an opportunity for Pravasis to engage with the state governments for partnering the growth of their ancestral states. The 12th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas in New Delhi is unique from the point of view that a youth PBD was celebrated yesterday for the first time. Indeed, this year, the theme of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is engaging the diaspora, connecting across generations, and this itself emphasis on youth connection. The youth population in India is one of the largest in the world, and it is contributing immensely to the growth of our great country. The younger generation of the diaspora also constitute a large group and are beginning to play important roles in their countries. It is essential that this new generation of Indians and Pravasis born together in the same way their parents and forefathers did. Many sessions were held yesterday focused on youth, and very good discussion were yesterday. The interactions certainly helped young people from India and the diaspora to have a thoughtful insight into the economic, cultural, and development horizons of their mother country. Hence, this edition of PBD will find a unique place in the history of the PBDs in India. There is also a new focus in this PBD on India's growing clout in the world of culture, films, art, and letters. There is a session today on India's soft power and other one tomorrow on making India the hub for the media and entertainment industry. I am sure that this new thrust will be of the immense interest to overseas Indian participants. Friends, as you are all aware, it has been the constant endeavor of this ministry, my ministry, to sort out various diaspora-related issues and introduce new schemes for them. Several initiatives including the Overseas Citizen of India scheme, voting rights for the NRIs, and the scholarship program for diaspora youth have been introduced by us. Of course, all a product of the discussion held in different sessions, and the demand has come from you, the friends. Many more schemes such as the e-migrate project are on the anvil. We have stepped in to help Indian workers in distress abroad wherever necessary. In this 12th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, we will have a session on issues of NRIs in the Gulf as in the past. This season will also deliberate on various options for rehabilitation of the returnees. We shall continue to serve our citizens abroad and deepen our engagement with our diaspora. It is now my pleasant duty to welcome our distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, our Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh is here, and he has inaugurated the event by lighting the ceremonial lamp. It is a measure of importance that the Government of India attaches to this event, and that is inaugurated by the Prime Minister himself. Sir, on behalf of my ministry and all of us present here, let me extend a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Prime Minister. The PBD 2014 has been enriched by the presence of chief guest Datu Seri Siji Palanivel. We are very happy and privileged to have him as the chief guest, considering his prominence and stature in the Indian diaspora community in Malaysia. The contributions of Indian diaspora in the growth and development of Malaysia is well-known fact, and we are all very happy to associate with the success of the Indian diaspora community in Malaysia. Sir, I take this opportunity to welcome you to Delhi. It is also my pleasure to welcome all my colleagues, Sri Jitendra Singh, who heads our partner ministry, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, very important, Youth Affairs. It is also my privilege to welcome all of you present here, my Pravasi friends, officials and diplomats and members of the press and the press fraternity. Ladies and gentlemen, I expect Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2014 to be a milestone in the engagement with Indian diaspora. I take this opportunity to wish you all very happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd now like to request our chief guest, Datuk Seri G. Palanivel, Honorable Minister for Natural Resources and Environment, and President of the Malaysian Indian Congress, to please address the gathering.
His Excellency Dr. Manmohan Singh, Prime Minister of India, His Excellency Vailar Ravi, Indian Minister of Overseas Indian Affairs, Mr. Sri Prem Narain, Secretary of the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, distinguished dignitaries, participants of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and a very warm welcome to all delegates who are present here to participate in the 12th edition of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Indian government for giving me the honors of being the chief guest at this year's gathering of the Indian diaspora around the world. We also have to thank the Indian government for taking this arduous task of organizing this yearly conference that brings together people of Indian origin from all over the world. The Malaysian population of Indian origin is close to 2 million. And today, as it stands, Malaysia is one of the largest trading partners of India. The two-way trade between the two countries over the years has increased many folds. In 1998, it was about $2.3 billion, but today it has increased to $13.32 billion, that is in 2012. And for 2013, it is expected to touch $14.40 billion. Malaysia is gradually emerging in recent years as a major potential investor in India. Among them are telecommunications, power, oil, refineries, electrical equipment industries, highways, and other infrastructure development projects. Mr. Prime Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, based on statistics, Malaysia is currently the 19th largest investor in India. To point out some of the projects in India by Malaysian private companies, there are a total of 72 completed projects with a total value of $3.27 billion in the areas of roads, highways, and infrastructure in India. Similarly, Indian companies have started making sizable investments in Malaysia since the year 2000. From $1 billion worth of investment in 2000, it has now grown to about $2.05 billion till August last year, that is 2013. At present, there are about 70 Indian joint venture companies operating in Malaysia. These companies are engaged in a variety of manufacturing activities, including palm oil refining, pharmaceuticals, textiles and yarn, glass containers, automobile associated activities, light engineering goods, metallurgical industries, specialty chemicals, steel, furniture, timber, and rubber products. Bilateral cooperation between both countries has seen a marked growth since 1996, adding a new dimension in the relationship. Indian training institutes have been set up in Malaysia, while the National Institute of Information Technology became the first Indian company to be awarded the Multimedia Super Corridor status in 1997. Since then, more than 60 Indian companies have opened their offices in Multimedia Super Corridor in Cyberjaya, Kuala Lumpur, and Penang. Mr. Prime Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia's palm oil industry is one of the biggest in the world, and India is one of the major importers of palm oil. The potential of this liquid gold, as we call it in Malaysia, is unlimited, with worldwide importance given to biofuel, which is the future in the fuel industry. Opportunities are again available in abundance in this sphere. I invite companies from all over the world to come to Malaysia and have collaborative initiatives with Malaysian companies, especially owned by Malaysian Indians, to explore opportunities in this sector. As Minister for Natural Resources and Environment, I would like to work closely with Indian counterparts in the area of biodiversity. As one of the 12 mega diverse countries in the world, Malaysia has in place many conservation programs relating to biodiversity conservation, such as our extensive network of protected forest areas. Malaysia has 5.3 million hectares of 40% of forest land. This project also supports the implementation of our National Tiger Conservation Action Plan, which aims at doubling our tiger population to 1,000. Recognizing the immense potential in our biodiversity, we are in the midst of finalizing the draft access bill for natural resources and benefit sharing bill. In drafting the bill, we have learned from India's experiences on the implementation of the National Biological Diversity Act 2002. Malaysia is currently revising our national policy on biological diversity to make it in line with the new global biodiversity strategy. The latest development in Malaysia on biodiversity management is the establishment of the National Biodiversity Center. We would like to work closely with India on this biodiversity plan. As for the field of education, we all know Malaysia and India has a long history. For many years, Malaysian students come to India to pursue their studies, especially in the field of medicine, dentistry, and engineering. While the trend still continues, India has taken a step forward by setting up branch campuses in Malaysia. Among those who have initiated the setting up of campuses in Malaysia are the Manipal International University and the Vinayagar Missions University. We also like to invite IIT to set up a branch campus in Malaysia. There is a lot of room for expansion in the area of education, as Malaysia is fast emerging as an education hub in Southeast Asia. In the banking sector, the presence of an Indian bank in Malaysia ceased many years ago. However, under the new Malaysia's liberalization policy on banking sector, there is one fully licensed Indian commercial bank. It is the joint venture among three banks, namely the Bank of Baroda, which owns 40%, Bank of Andhra, which owns 30%, and the Indian Overseas Bank, which owns the balance share of Ringgit Malaysia 330 million. I understand efforts are underway by the India International Bank to open a branch in Malaysia. Many of these initiatives were made possible by the many bilateral visits made by leaders of both countries and the many agreements signed between the countries. During the last visit of Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh to Malaysia, 6 MOUs were signed to work on a framework for strategic partnership which envisions development of a multifaceted relationship with a view to elevate bilateral relations to the new level of a long-term and strategic partnership. Although the bilateral trade between the two countries is progressing at a healthy rate, I foresee much more areas that can be exploited. For instance, the 5 super economic corridors in Malaysia, namely the Northern Corridor Economic Region, Johor-Iskandar Economic Corridor, East Coast Economic Region, Sabah Development Corridor, and Sarawak Corridor of Renewable Energy. These corridors provide immense investment opportunities. I urge not only Indian companies but also companies from other countries to take advantage of the various exemptions and incentives provided by the Malaysian government to invest in these areas. Mr. Prime Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in a world that is moving towards globalization and borders being broken down, we are becoming more interconnected. Therefore, on behalf of the Malaysian Indian businessmen, I urge more Indian leaders and businessmen to visit us regularly. We have always considered India as a close friend of Malaysia. We want the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry to increase its contacts with our counterparts in Malaysia to expand and explore more business opportunities. I assure you that Malaysia is committed in expanding Malaysia-India ties in business and education, as well as other areas deemed beneficial to both countries. The cooperation between India and Malaysia has been fruitful, and I look forward for more areas of cooperation between our two nations. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and I wish to appreciate my presence here because of the official invitation that was given to me. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, sir. Shri Datuk Seriji Palanivel. Access to credible information is essential for meaningful engagement. The Indian diaspora across generations looks at the economic, intellectual, and emotional connect with India, the country of their origin. To facilitate their engagement, the Overseas Indian Facilitation Center, in partnership with Deloitte Touche Tohamatsu India Private Limited, has brought out a publication entitled Incredible Opportunities Back Home. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister of India to release this publication, which is essentially a book of guidelines of investment opportunities in India. And now I'd like to request Dr. Manmohan Singh, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, to present the inaugural address.
Your Excellency, Dato Sri G. Planival, Minister for Natural Resources and Environment of Malaysia, my senior cabinet colleague and Minister for Overseas Indian Affairs, Shri Vyala Ravi, Minister of State for Youth Affairs and Defence, Shri Jitendra Singh, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to extend to all of you a very warm welcome on the occasion of the annual Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. I am glad that once again the new year is beginning with a celebration of the emotional, spiritual, economic and family ties that bind the expatriate Indian community to the motherland. This year, we welcome particularly the younger generation among the expatriates. Their presence in our midst gives a special resonance to this year's theme of connecting across generations. Our chief guest this year is Dato Sri G. Planival, Federal Minister for Natural Resources and Environment of the Republic of Malaysia and President of the Malaysian Indian Congress. He embodies the ideas that bring us together for Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Not only does he have an outstanding record of public service and personal accomplishments, he also represents a vibrant Indian community which has made an immense contribution to Malaysia's progress and served as an effective bridge of understanding and friendship between India and Malaysia. Ours are two pluralist democracies that have many common interests in their shared neighborhood and have built a strong partnership in the last decade. We are delighted, Dato Sri Planival, to have you with us today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is not only the size of the Indian expatriate community as the world's second largest, but also your achievements that give you a very significant global profile. The Indian community's contribution to India has also been invaluable. From the workers who labor abroad to support their families and communities at home, the professionals who share the fruits of their skills for India's development, the entrepreneurs who bring investment into and promote exports from India, and the community leaders who interpret India for the world and advance its interest abroad. We, on our part, will continue to support and assist you and promote your links with India in every possible way. It was for this purpose that when our government came to power, we established the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs. We have also recently launched the Mahatma Gandhi Pravasi Suraksha Yojana to provide social security to Indian workers abroad. The Pravasi Bharatiya Kendra in Delhi will be completed this year. We also intend to start a scheme to assist state governments in establishing Pravasi Bharatiya Bhavans. I compliment the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs and my colleague Shri Vyala Ravi for these initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, I would also like to record my appreciation for the work of the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, as also the Government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for successfully addressing the challenges that more than 1 million Indian workers faced following changes in Saudi Arabia's labor policies. As always, our objective is to support our emigrant communities, and I hope this year's Pravasi Bharatiya Divas will again provide an opportunity to discuss how we can forge a more productive partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that many of you have questions about the future of the Indian economy and concerns about social challenges, the shape of our polity, and the issues of governance in our country. There is a perception in some quarters outside India that the country is losing its momentum of the past decade. This is also amplified by the political contestations here in India, which are inevitably louder in the election season that is now on the horizon. I wish to assure you that there is no reason to despair about our present or worry about our future. Indeed, as I have said earlier, we are heading into better times ahead, and I would urge you to remain engaged in the future of this country with confidence and optimism. Let me make 5 broad points to bolster this argument. First, regardless of the outcome of the next election, they will once again demonstrate to the world the strength of our democracy and our institutions and the enduring nature of these ideals that constitute the bedrock for our nation's progress and our quest for a life of opportunity, justice, and equity for all citizens of our diverse country. Recent developments point to the greater enrichment of our democracy, which is becoming more participative and interactive, with people using both traditional methods and new digital tools to mobilize and communicate. It is especially encouraging to see our youth from all walks of life not only articulate their expectations and aspirations, but take actively to politics to shape their future. This is only to be welcomed. It is only thus that the extraordinary transformation that is taking place in our country on multiple levels can be distilled constructively into our democratic process, which has the vitality and responsiveness to reflect the new and emerging concerns and hopes and aspirations of our people. I am confident that so should you be, that the future of our country as a pluralistic democracy is safe and secure. Second, our economy has done well over the past decade. In the 9 years since 2004, we averaged a healthy growth rate of 7.9% per annum. There has been no doubt a slowdown in the recent past, and we will probably end this year at the same level as last year with 5% growth. A number of international as well as domestic factors have contributed to this situation. Despite these challenges, our economic fundamentals remain strong. Our savings and investment rates are still over 30% of our GDP, and the entrepreneurial spirit in India is very much alive and kicking. In recent months, we have also taken a very wide range of decisions to accelerate the implementation of mega infrastructure projects, reform tax administration, improve fiscal management, liberalize foreign direct investments, and rationalize the system for allocation and utilization of natural resources. With greater political support, we could have legislated deeper reforms measures, for example, in the financial and insurance sector. However, our decisions are already beginning to make an impact, and India is re-emerging as an attractive investment destination. I am confident you will see the evidence clearly in the next few months. Third, India is changing in a way that is significant but not always evident to those who do not see the big picture. Over the past 10 years, our communication networks have expanded exponentially, and much of rural India will be connected by broadband in the very near future. About 1,000 institutions of higher education are today part of the high-speed national knowledge network. Telephony is now within the reach of everyone. The education sector has been rapidly reformed, with central universities having gone from 17 to 44 and the IITs and the IIMs doubling in number. At the primary level, nearly every child in India is going to school today. The National Skill Development Authority is working with other stakeholders, including those from the private sector, to train 50 million people for the workforce during the next 5 years. We have added over 17,000 kilometers of highways and more than 200,000 kilometers of new roads in rural areas. Our power generation capacity is expanding rapidly, aided by initiatives in solar, wind, and nuclear energy to give ourselves a more sustainable energy future. Fourth, India's economic growth has not only accelerated, it has also become socially more inclusive and regionally more balanced. Inclusive development has always been the guiding principle of our government, and we have pursued it with great vigor and purpose in recent years. Our poverty levels are declining at faster rates. Economically, weaker states are growing at faster rates. Agricultural growth has accelerated, and real rural wages have increased 3 times since 2004. This is the result of path-breaking legislation and schemes that have created unprecedented rights to work, food security, and right to education. For our government, inclusive development is not merely a moral imperative or a political necessity, but an essential ingredient of sustainable long-term economic growth and social stability. Finally, one of our key priorities has been to provide open, transparent, accountable, and clean government. The right to information, the Lokpal legislation, the government procurement bill, changes in the systems for the allocation of natural resources, and empowering our law enforcement and audit agencies are some of the steps we have taken in that direction. The task is complicated because we have to overhaul entrenched practices and systems while respecting the federal nature of our polity. Strengthening governance is an ongoing process, and we can never say that we have done enough. But I am confident that we are moving in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, India is changing rapidly from within, at the same time as being called upon to adjust to a rapidly changing world. This is a formidable challenge for a country of our size and our diversity, but it is a challenge we are equal to. In particular, we draw strength from the energy and optimism of India's youth, from the freedoms that empower our people, from the debate that enriches our thinking, from the sense of unity that only becomes deeper when tested the most, and from the political consensus that underpins our economic policies. I have no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that we are prepared to assume the international role and responsibilities that the world at large expects from a rising India. I am also confident that the association between India and its over 22 million roving ambassadors in the expatriate Indian community will continue to deepen and prosper in the years that lie ahead. With these words, let me conclude by wishing you and your families a very happy and successful 2014, and I thank you once again for joining us for the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. May your talk be blessed.
Thank you, sir. And finally, to propose a vote of thanks, I invite Shri Prem Narayan, Secretary in the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs.
Honorable Prime Minister of India, Honorable Minister for Overseas Indian Affairs, Honorable Chief Guest of the PBD 2014, Datuk Seri G. Palnivel, Honorable Minister from Malaysia, and Honorable Minister of State for Youth Affairs and Sports, dignitaries present here, invitees and delegates of the PBD and friends from the media. This year, we have had the largest number of registrations for the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. The larger presence of the overseas Indians here is a testimony that our engagement with the Indian diaspora is getting stronger and stronger, and that the event is not only a celebratory function, but is serving more meaningful purposes, spreading into economic, cultural, social, scientific and entrepreneurial fields, and this has been possible with the blessings and continuous encouragement by our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, directly or through his Advisory Council on Overseas Indians. I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to the Honorable Prime Minister of India, who has spared his valuable time to be with us on this inaugural session of the PBD 2014. I also thank the Honorable Chief Guest, Datuk Seri G. Palnivel, Honorable Minister for Natural Resources and Environment in Malaysia. He, being the President of Malaysian Indian Congress, represents one of the biggest diaspora communities of India in the Southeast Asian region. Further, I am extremely thankful to the Honorable Minister for Overseas Indian Affairs for his continuous support and guidance for organizing this grand event. During his 8-year continuous instinct, Minister of Overseas Indian Affairs has taken the ministry to the new heights. I take this opportunity to also thank the Minister of State Independent Charge, Youth Affairs and Sports, and Minister of State for Defence, Shri Jiten Singh ji, for his support and being a partner ministry for this year's celebrations. I am also thankful to the members of the press and media who are present here and who will take the message of this PBD forward to the whole nation. Finally, I am really thankful to all the delegates who have come from across the world and have taken trouble to reach Delhi to attend this Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. I once again thank you all for being present here and wish a very happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the
प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस समारोह का विधिवत उद्घाटन हो चुका है। प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह, प्रवासी भारतीय मामलों के मंत्री श्री वयाला रवि, समारोह के मुख्य अतिथि दातुक सेरी पी पलानीवेल विज्ञान भवन से प्रस्थान करते हुए उम्मीद की जा सकती है कि अगले 2 दिनों में जो विचार विमर्श इस सम्मेलन में होगा, उससे देश और दुनिया में फैले भारतीयों की प्रगति के नए आयाम स्थापित होंगे।